You know the head they found near the scaffolding?
What about it?
Someone put it there on purpose. After they stuck horns on it to make it look sinister.
What a ridiculous thing to do. Who's responsible? And where did he find the skull?
I don't know, but I'll try to find out. Have you seen Leszek, the scaffolder?
I saw him. What do you want with him?
I want to talk to him about the head he dug up.
Really? That's interesting.
Why?
He asked me to meet him on the scaffolding tonight, so he can tell me something important. Said he wanted to confess something.
So he did have something to do with the skull. I knew it.
Maybe. But I'd wager someone made him do it. He doesn't seem the type to come up with something like that on his own. I'm planning to go and meet him. Will you come with me?
It will be safer with the two of us. I'll go.
Very well. We'll meet at night. If I'm not down at the bottom, then look for me at the top.
All right.
Remember, Charles. We had peace and order when he ruled.
Aye, those were the days.
What's going on now? You didn't get any brew?
The brew's gone.
You could have saved some.
I know, but I didn't. Can you get me more?
This is the last time.
Good luck then.
Ow!
Greetings, Henry.
Where? What's happening?
I see you look much better.
No, I feel much better. Then I heard it was all down to you. Thank you. If you ever need to know about anything that's going on in Sasau, come and see me. There's nothing much happens here without my knowledge. Thomas is my name. Take care.
You saved me. You've no idea what you've done for me. Oh God, thank you.
I didn't do that much.
You did more than anyone else here. I'm sorry, I've got no money to repay you, but I can tell you a secret. How workers like me keep up back-breaking labour day after day.
And who are you?
Brother Elias.
What do you do here?
What I can. I'm just trying to help the Skalitz locals as much as I can.
How long have you been helping here?
Since before the refugees arrived. It was much less crowded back then.
And what do you do here exactly?
Mainly, I help Brother Nicodemus. Occasionally, I keep watch at night in case someone takes a turn for the worse. Sometimes I have to hold a patient down or fetch and carry things.
Do you know anything about healing?
A little. I can manage the basics, but without Brother Nicodemus, I'd never be able to deal with the more difficult cases.
Thank you.
Can't sleep again.
I heard you had a fight with Fritz and Matthew.
Heathens.
So it was you they fought with?
Yes, it was me, and I hope I'll never have to see those wastrels again.
They deserve to be ousted, but the debt? How are they ever going to pay it?
I really don't care. Let them live in penury. Brutes.
Isn't that a little unchristian? You wouldn't want personal spite to ruin their lives, would you?
Well, those were just idle threats, really. If they come and apologize, there's always a possibility of forgiveness. Take care now.
I won't get any.
Yeah. Yeah.
Welcome, Henry.
Brew?
Yes, please.
God be with you.
I've got something for you.
Really?
Here you go. And save some of it. I don't want to hear you ranting again tomorrow.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Henry!
Tell me more about the situation here. All right, that's all I need to know.
Good luck then.
Do you need any more help?
Knowledge of herbal remedies always comes in handy. Listen up. We have some new brothers who are meant to help me with the wounded, but not all of them know their medicinal herbs as well as I'd hope. They'll have to be taught.
I'm not much of a teacher.
I should imagine not. But you won't be doing any teaching, just helping me put together our new herbarium. I shall need all of the herbs mentioned in the old one.
That sounds easy. I'll be right back.
Don't be so sure. Some of the herbs are shy little things, prone to hiding from sight. When you've collected one of each, come back for your reward. One more thing. Bring me some old book or other. We'll scrape off the old ink to make a palimpsest, and use the blank pages for the herbarium.
An old book. Very well.
God be with you.
Yeah.
I've got those herbs you wanted.
Let me see if you have everything. Excellent, you have all the plants. I'll take those from you. And what of the book? Did you remember to bring it?
I certainly did. Here it is.
Thank you for everything. I'll set someone the task of scraping away the old ink and making the herbarium.
It was my pleasure.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
Most meg kapod! Foikos! Van ott valaki? Csak! Szék! The helmet.
Well, I never.
Heel. I want to get out of here.
Where do you want to go? You've only just arrived.
It's not going to get any better, is it? I just think we should go. Doesn't matter where.
It doesn't matter. We need groschen for the infirmary. We can make that money here.
Pay here is pitiful. It's just arms. We used to earn much more.
Yes, but this is a mill, not a silver mine.
Huh. Not even our mine chief Nemo was as much of a half-wit as our new mill foreman. And that's saying a lot.
Yes, but right now we're in. We just have to hold on a little longer, and then we'll ask around elsewhere.
Saying, the sooner, the better. Or I'm liable to lose my temper and hit him over the head with something.
What a wonderful idea. That would really help. Didn't you have enough the first time?
The devil take it all. And you too.
Jesus, what have you been up to?
Are you happy here?
It's not worth a damn. If I had any choice, you wouldn't see my heels for dust.
Well, what's happened? Did you two get yourselves into trouble?
A fine friend you are, assuming it's our own bloody fault.
Oh, come on. You know what you two are like. I had to ask.
Well, perhaps with that monk. But now, the foreman's got it in for us. If he could, he'd skin us alive.
Always forcing you to work, is he?
If only. That wouldn't be so awful. But nothing we do is good enough for him. There's always some reason for him to yell at us.
I can imagine.
You know what it's like. We do too little, and it takes us too long, and what we eat's worth more than the work we've done, and it's no fun listening to that sort of shit day after day.
And the miller won't stick up for you. I would have thought all the yelling would drive him mad.
Not really. He trusts that loudmouth bastard more than us. He's got us down for a pair of parasites.
I see.
What's so stupid is the mill really needs us. They haven't had any hands here for quite a while, and the mill needs a lot of fixing. But with them around, we can't even get to work.
And you definitely don't... You don't ever provoke him?
I've already told you once, he's an arsehole. I'd say there's nothing we can do about it. If he wants to yell at us, he'll yell at us.
Have you tried talking with him?
What do you think? But that just sets him off. He starts saying we're practically bandits, and what he's going to do about it. That gets Fritz going, and he starts yelling too, and...
I'd never have guessed he's like that.
Well, get a job here as a hand, and you'll soon see.
And what does he do during the day? Does he work with you?
Good one. He keeps his eye on everything, but his hand only touches the saw when the miller shows up, which isn't that surprising.
Why?
The last time he did anything, he almost took his thumb off with a chisel. I wouldn't put an axe in those paws of his either.
So he's clumsy and arrogant. That's what you said about your last master, that Nimoy.
Aye, but at least you could sneak away from old Nimoy for a bit. No chance of that around here.
And what do you want to do about it? Just run away?
Actually, I'd like to stay here, at least for a bit. I never would have thought I'd like working in a mill, but not with him around. It's unbearable, and there's no one I can complain to. But you could.
Me? Do you think they'll listen to me?
They did once already, didn't they? They hired us because of you. You could have another word with them.
Back then, making promises was enough. Now, it will be worse.
You can forget about the miller. It's Thomas you need to convince. The miller takes his opinion seriously. So, will you do it for us? Again?
Fine. I'll try and talk to him.
I'm glad. But try not to get on his wrong side. You won't get anywhere with him then.
I'll keep that in mind.
See you later.
Hey, how'd you get so fucked up?
Matthew told me your foreman's a fool, and you're not exactly filled with Christian love for him.
You better believe it. I'd like to pay him back for everything and drown him in the river.
Drown him? What's he done to you?
It was the first or the second day here. We had a disagreement and I told him off. And then, all of a sudden, we're fighting and that fucker just throws me in the river. I nearly drowned.
Well, how did you get out? I thought you couldn't swim.
I can't. They pulled me out. I was up to my waist in water.
I see. Well, I'd be pretty fucking angry too. So you want to pay him back?
Exactly. I don't give a shit about anything around here, but that bastard's in need of a good trouncing.
What about the others at the mill? Are they awful as well?
The miller's an old fool. He believes every word that comes out of Thomas's mouth. It's hopeless. And then there's the miller's daughter. She's a pretty lass, and kind with it. And what can she do? Nothing. Not that it stops Matthew going to see her. But Thomas is the root of the problem.
Do you think he's jealous? Is she a sweetheart?
He might make puppy dog eyes at her, but most of the time he just struts about like a peacock. I really don't think she's the problem.
I spoke with him briefly and he doesn't seem so horrible.
Then you ought to try working with him. He's a sneaky bastard and arrogant. You should see how he puffs himself up when he's off to play dice with Lawrence.
Who's Lawrence? Another mill hand?
Aye, but at the neighbouring mill. They call him the Wren. Damned if I know why. Thomas goes there to play dice with him.
And what do you want to do about it? Do you think you can come to an agreement?
No fucking chance. Matthew hopes so because he likes it here. It's true the work's better than the mines, but the pay's worse.
So how do you plan on dealing with it? Leaving?
Perhaps. But first, I want to give Thomas a proper trouncing. I mean a real thrashing.
And you think that will help?
Maybe. Maybe it'll knock some sense into that fat head of his. Or he'll be too frightened to mess with me.
That might help.
So why don't you arrange a fight with him? If we win, he'll leave us alone. Oh, we could...
What?
We could lure him off someplace far away and then wait for him. Maybe to play dice with Lawrence. He would have to go through the dark woods.
I'll think about it. About your brawl with Elias.
How the fuck do you know about him?
Your best friend settled the matter.
You're serious?
Absolutely. All you have to do is go to him and promise you'll pay the debt somehow.
We won't forget this. On my honour. Thanks.
I want to get better at fist fighting.
Certainly.
I'm interested in more advanced techniques.
Wouldn't you rather learn the basics first?
Well, I'll think it over.
God be with you.
God almighty, has something happened to you? Did someone steal your fancy clothes?
Are you happy with your new workers?
They're good carpenters, but someone constantly has to stand behind their backs and keep an eye on them.
Really?
Yes. When I'm there with them, everything goes smoothly. But the moment I leave, I hear Thomas yelling at them.
I've heard.
I don't know what I'd do without Thomas. He keeps an eye on everything for me now. The mill wouldn't function without him.
Well, but Thomas has problems with carpentry.
You're right. You should hear him cursing when he has to turn his hand to it. He knows he'll never be a real miller.
What, just because of that?
No. He's not too skilled at handling the water wheel and the mill run either. He can wield a shovel well enough, but otherwise I have to keep telling him how to do things.
So he's not been foreman too long then?
No. My son used to run the mill, but then his wagon overturned with him inside it. It'll be a year ago now, come spring.
I'm sorry.
Me too, boy. And after Martin was gone, the other workers left and only Thomas stayed. I don't know what I'd do without him.
What happened that day? Wagons don't overturn themselves.
He was transporting new stone blocks for the mill and he had to take a detour. Since the wagon was too heavy for the ford, it was after a downpour. The load must have slipped and the whole wagon fell on him. I pray it was quick.
So he was alone, with no one to help him?
Of course not. Thomas was there too. He helped Martin to load the wagon in Sasau and both of them set off back.
Just the two of them? No one else was there?
No, they always did it that way. Martin didn't like dragging people where it wasn't necessary, when they could be doing work elsewhere. But if I had been there with them, maybe he'd still be alive. Thomas couldn't pull the wagon off him. He ran for help, but it was already too late.
I'm sorry. But I'm sure he's in God's kingdom now.
He was a good boy, a kind soul.
Have you been without carpenters for a while?
A long time. Since winter, it's been just me and Thomas.
Nobody stays around?
No. These days, it's hard to find a man you can rely on. Young lads today are bone idle. None of them wants to do an honest day's work.
And how many have actually worked here?
About half a dozen, maybe more. We always put up with them till the most urgent work was done, then sent them packing.
And what about Jane? Shouldn't she have a husband by now?
What are you trying to say?
A pretty girl like her is ripe for marriage.
With a large dowry because she comes from a mill? Well, she had herself a man once, but he ran away during the winter. He wasn't up to the work either.
And how long did he last?
You know, he was here for a while. But back then my son was a foreman and he was a kindly soul. Too kind. He never threw anyone out.
So everyone started leaving when Thomas took over?
Well, Thomas is a dog on slackers. And just as well. Maybe it's harsh, but that's what you need nowadays. If we don't mill, folk don't eat.
So the moment Thomas became mill foreman, everyone started running off? Not one man could stand it here, even if they had a chance to marry Jane? Don't you think Thomas might be doing it on purpose? Sounds to me like he's after the mill, or your daughter, or both.
That's not like him. He's a good man and straightforward. He knows I can always send for a new mill foreman.
And Jane?
Don't worry about her. She'll wed whoever I approve of, even Thomas if he asks for her hand. At least with him, I know he won't leave the mill.
Indeed, why would he, once he's got rid of everyone else?
That's enough. I don't know why you're trying to slander Thomas, but I don't mean to listen to it any longer. Good luck to you.
I heard what you asked my father. You can't expect help from him. He's none too sharp these days.
And can you help me then?
No. Nobody listens to me. But I wanted to say that Thomas does do it on purpose. He did it the same way before.
Why?
Because he's afraid if someone comes who's more skilled, Father will notice and give his job to the newcomer.
And your father lets him? Can't he settle this?
He probably could, but he doesn't want to. My brother was the mill foreman before him, but last year a wagon overturned on him, broke his back. It broke my father too. And Thomas was here the longest. He was always close to my brother, so Father chose him as the mill foreman.
And Thomas doesn't listen to anyone? Can't you persuade him?
No. He keeps looking my way and tries to be nice, but he doesn't care what I've got to say. When I tell him something, it goes in one ear and out the other.
And this probably won't end well. What happened to your brother?
And what does that have to do with this?
I don't know. You mentioned it, so I was just wondering.
There's not much to tell. A stone block that was loaded wrong, slippery ground after rain, and when the wagon overturned on him, there was no one around to help.
What do you mean, no one? Surely he wasn't alone.
No, he had Thomas with him. But Thomas couldn't lift the wagon off him, and by the time he found help, it was too late. And as if that wasn't bad enough, someone robbed my brother while Thomas was looking for help.
Someone robbed him after he was dead?
I don't know. But they took a mottled scarf which I gave him as a keepsake. He laughed when I gave it to him. He said it would make him look like a fop, but he still wore it all the time. And someone must have thought it was worth stealing.
But who'd steal a scarf?
Why are you asking me? When they brought him back here, he didn't have it. That's all I know.
I'm sorry about what happened to him.
Me too. But it was his own fault. If he'd brought more people with him, he'd still be alive. He was too kind for his own good.
I understand.